Well, shalom everybody, welcome back. Thank you so much for joining me. We're up to page 114 of volume 1 of Rabbi Avigdor Miller's new translation and commentary of Duties of the Mind. And we're up to part 15 entitled Mitzvot of Unlimited Breadth. Now we start off here with a note, and I just want to remind the viewers that we are being made privy to a travail by the author as to the legitimacy of the existence of such a work that deals principally with duties of the mind. And this isn't a way of opening a sefer that's unique to this work. You actually do see this type of thing in other popular sefarim in the Jewish world. The Tanya being one that comes to mind in its opening, in its introduction. It travails over whether it should have even come into existence as a written work. But in this particular instance, the author is travailing over the actual subject itself, whether it's even a valid subject, not only whether the subject should be written in written form, but is it actually a subject that has a valid substance that can be broken down? And we obviously get the answer that is yes it is. And we see that at various points throughout history, very righteous men have unlocked previously inaccessible doors of Torah wisdom. And once those doors are unlocked, they stay open forever. And the wisdom that flows through these doors can be mined for further insights and further wisdoms, thus showing us that the Torah really is unlimited. Okay, so let's see what the note says. The author is still trying to find reasons why this subject is so rarely emphasized. He now considers the possibility that the subject is not sufficiently complex to warrant detailed study. And then I said, perhaps this type of mitzvah cannot be subdivided into many different mitzvot. Perhaps it's just a general idea and there are not many details or different kinds of mitzvot to document. And therefore, they let it go. If it's just a general idea, why waste time discussing it? A brief mention would be enough to cover it. And therefore, they do not need to compose a separate sefer. Perhaps it's not a subject requiring extensive halakot that can be broken down in various divisions, subdivisions, and sub-subdivisions. In a case like that, there would be a need for sefarim that explain the general mitzvot and then elaborate on the details. But perhaps this is just a simple general idea that people need to think about Hashem, but there isn't much more to say. There isn't much more to say about the subject. But when I investigated the number of mitzvot and their subdivisions, I found that there are very many varieties of mitzvot in elaborate subdivisions. And I thought about what David said, what David HaMelech said in Psalm 119, verse 96, where it says, to every goal I have seen an end, but your commandment is exceedingly wide. Everything in the world has a limit, but when it comes to Torah, there is no limit. David said it about the mitzvot of the mind, which are boundless because the mitzvot that we do with our limbs are limited to a specific number, like the number Taryag, the numerical value equaling 613. This number actually covers the formal listing of all mitzvot, including the mitzvot of the limbs and mitzvot of the mind. However, because of their many subdivisions and because of the different thoughts and intentions that can be put into them, the mitzvot of the mind are very many, effectively far more than 613. In fact, they are unlimited, and this is why I always say that the 10 commandments aren't 10 distinct commandments. They are 10 categories of the 613 commandments. And the 613 commandments themselves, that's not the limit of the commandments. The commandments are actually unlimited. But for the sake of categorization, there are 613. This is the same with the 7 Noahide laws. There are not actually 7 Noahide laws. They are simply 7 categories of Noahide laws. And it can be argued there are 30 different categories of Noahide laws, that is universal moral laws that pertain to all man. However, because of their many subdivisions and because of the different thoughts and intentions that can be put into them, the mitzvot of the mind are very many, effectively far more than 613. In fact, they are unlimited. And that's what David meant to say when he said, but your commandment is exceedingly wide. Not only do the formal mitzvot of the mind have many subdivisions, essentially every one of the mitzvot of the limbs includes the related thoughts and intentions of the mind. Now that may seem at first an unrealistic idea. How can anything be unlimited? However, when we start thinking about it, we realize that there are no limits to the mind. There are so many great things that a person can utilize in his mind for in coming closer to Hashem and in understanding Hashem. He can utilize his mind in doing things that are impossible for his body to do. For instance, a person cannot build a yeshiva by himself. To build a yeshiva on his own, a person would have to be extremely wealthy. But in his mind, anyone can build a yeshiva. And anybody that is watching, that might be watching this video, that has a large sum of money and might want to do something with that money in terms of furthering a community of people who are serious about their Torah learning and aren't Orthodox Jews, contact me, leave a message in the comments below, because I have an idea for something, but it's going to take a lot of money to get off the ground. We can talk about that, discuss that further. Just put something in the comments and I will engage with you on that. That's a different topic. You might think, how good would it be if I could build a yeshiva? By appreciating the importance of a yeshiva, you are effectively building it in your mind. All that remains is the use of your body and physical resources. The willingness is there already. You can think in your mind how worthwhile it would be if you could make institutions all over the world to bring back people to Torah and Mitzvot. You can imagine how you would staff them with experts, which you would pay with appropriate salaries. People would come to these places for every condition of life, and they would be helped and encouraged. You don't have any money, but that doesn't stop you from thinking about it and from building a world with your thoughts. This demonstrates that a person can do mitzvot with the mind, which he cannot do with his limbs. The mitzvot of the mind are so many that there is no end to their subdivisions. As an example, the unlimited subdivisions of mitzvot of the mind, you can train yourself to think that you would like all from Jews to be blessed. When you pass by a yeshiva, you think of asking Hashem to place a bracha, a blessing upon the Roshei Yeshiva, the senior lecturers, and a bracha on all the Talmudim, on the Kollel, the graduate students, all their wives of the Kollel, all their children, and on all those who support the Kollel. Merely by thinking these thoughts whenever you pass by a place like that, you are performing a very great mitzvah. Additionally, you are bringing the blessing of Hashem on yourself. As it says, I will bless those who bless you, and you are also fulfilling the will of Hashem by giving him a reason to bless his nation. And the I'll bless those who bless you comes from Bereshit 12:3. You might be thinking these thoughts about all the Jews in Lakewood, all the Jews in Williamsburg, and so on. These are places in the US. You might be thinking that they should all be matzalak, have success, and they should all have panasa, that is a livelihood. In your mind, you're blessing them constantly. Thus, you are accomplishing tremendous things with your mind, although you cannot achieve those good wishes physically. This demonstrates that there are opportunities without end for doing mitzvot with the mind. You can be bonei alemot, build worlds with your mind. So previously you might have thought, these are just futile thoughts. No, they are not. These are thoughts that you will be judged on, whether for good or for bad. And so this goes without saying in terms of doing the opposite, and that is thinking bad thoughts, thinking destructive thoughts on people. So we have to be very careful of what we choose to think about, and wherever possible, we should think positive thoughts for the religious Jewish world, and especially now when the world has taken an unprecedented level of neglect for the serious Torah scholars in Israel. There are a demographic within the nation of Israel now that are despised, and the world and Israel itself and the powers that be are putting pressure on all the yeshivot to close and all Orthodox Jews to join the IDF. Now, we need the IDF, but we also need good yeshivot in Israel, strict yeshivot that train serious Torah scholars. And if we allow the nation of Israel to disband its its religious component, which is what some wicked men and women are wanting to do, we are going to send the nation swiftly to its destruction. And okay, you might not be able to do anything physically, maybe you might not even be able to do anything financially, even on a very small scale, but you can certainly think positive thoughts in the hopes that it will turn around, and somebody out there will be motivated who has the resources and wherewithal to support Torah and have Torah come back on the radar for the actual powers that be in Israel today. Tel Aviv have really departed in the last couple of decades from a lot of things that it would never have dreamed of doing in the past. That is public transport on Shabbat and things like that. And when one burrows deeply into the topic, gets really in depth on the topic, we can actually see this is where a lot of calamities come against the nation, is when the nation of Israel itself departs from the Torah and tries to become like the rest of the world. And this is how anti-Semitism gains a foothold, and all types of mayhem can come upon the nation and ensue. And so we want to encourage all Israelis, all people who are Jewish, to return to observance. Get a hold of your local rabbi, your nearest synagogue or Orthodox Jewish community. I'm talking Orthodox. I'm not talking modern Orthodox. I'm not talking Reform or any other type of stream of Judaism. I'm talking about Orthodox Judaism. Listen, we'll leave it there. That takes us to page 117. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you found it beneficial. I hope you found it helpful. Until next time, Hashem willing, bye for now.